I am so excited to be here with Miss Vanessa. This is how I know and love her. Vanessa Valentin.
Valentin.
It's a stage name, right?
No, I'm kidding. It's actually my real name is Valentin. Valentin in English, and then
I never knew that. I thought Valentin was the stage name.
No, it's funny because the funny thing is that my dad owned a real estate in New York, and we called it Valentin Real Estate because he said that no one ever saw our name and pronounced it the right way. Right. Everyone automatically assumed it was Valentine, so we stuck with that.
Went with it. Yeah. Well, so Miss Vanessa, how I know and love her, came into my life when my son Alex was 3. And she worked at a music studio in South Florida. And we just, walked in one day and I wanted my son to learn piano lessons because that's what I had heard would help his math skills. Goals. Let's talk about goals. And Mr. Alex met Miss Vanessa and took piano lessons for not that long. And one day Miss Vanessa came out and said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" He goes, "I'll keep teaching your kid piano lessons, but I think he should be an entertainer and we need to get him doing some acting stuff.
Yes.
And may I have your permission at the next recital? I'll have him do a piano piece, but I really think he should do something more theatrical." and I, my son, for those of you that don't know, ended up getting a full ride scholarship to a local musical theater private high school, huge college prep high school down here. And that's all thanks to you because you saw, I loved him and thought he was theatrical, but you saw something in Alex and pointed it out to us. And it was a love, he is now a performer in another arena, rapper, but I don't think he certainly would not have had today the outgoing, confident personality without you.
Thank you.
So that's kind of the side note. I wasn't even going to go there, but because we're supposed to talk about real estate. So I bought a shopping center in 2008, and we had now been working with Miss Vanessa. So Miss Vanessa left the studio in Weston and went into her home, and we're teaching your piano students. Was it only piano?
No, it was piano and voice.
Piano and voice. And we were going to her little apartment once a week. And at one point you had said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "Oh, I lease shopping centers." And you said, "Oh, I'd like to one day maybe open a studio of my own." So I buy a shopping center called Shops of Arrowhead in the height of 2008. We all know what happened after that. The market tanks. And in the beginning of 2009, I went from 2 vacancies to 14. And I needed to find some tenants. More importantly, I needed to find some tenants that would bring traffic to my dead shopping center. And one day I walked into her house, into her apartment, and said, "Miss Vanessa, today is your lucky day. Do you remember when you said you might want to open a studio in a shopping center? I can give you one for free." So, how do you recall that moment?
Like it was yesterday.
Oh, good. Tell me, because I have my recollection of it.
I had just given birth 2 months earlier to my first child, and my students were not accepting my leave of absence, and so I had them come to my home, and Alex was one of them, and I remember that day very clearly. And you told me, "I have some vacancies, and I have an opportunity for you, and you can't say no." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm ready just yet. I just had my baby." And you said, "It's now or never." And I said, "Okay, I'll take it."
I remember you called your parents,
yes.
Right? I think your mom and dad came down to look at the space,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And I remember walking in the space with your mom and dad and saying, "Look, it's, when is she going to get this opportunity? Maybe it won't work,
right?
But let's try it,
right?
And the first space, there's a hint there, right? So the first space was
just the big open room?
Yeah, big open room. I don't remember what it was. It was a real estate office or something, right? Mm-hmm. It's a big open room and had a little thing in the back. And I think I said, "No rent,
Right.
You had to pay your utility bill, you had to get insurance, and you had to fix it up.
Yep.
Like I did not
It's
give
as
you.
is.
Yeah, it's as is. And what was the time frame? Was it 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I said after the 6 months we would talk.
Yes.
Right? So you take it over.
Yep.
I remember your dad was in there painting.
We all did it all.
And you've opened.
Yes.
And do you remember how many students you had that were coming to your house?
I had about 25 at the time.
And then they transferred
Yes.
to
the new
Davie,
location.
The new location, right? So I don't know if you know this part, but so here I am trying to get some traffic and activity in the shopping center. And one day I'm showing, and it was very hard to show space when you have 14 vacancies, you know. So one day I remember walking, you know, past the studio and you had, you know, students coming. And I see all of these SUVs with people in them. And I had no idea. I'm like, who are these people sitting in these SUVs? Like, is this the Secret Service or something? I had no idea. And then I realized it was the parents.
The parents.
And I immediately called Antoline, my maintenance guy. I said, meet me at Lowe's. And we went and we bought benches for $100.
Yes.
And I said, put the benches outside Miss Vanessa's.
I had no lobby.
Right.
No lobby.
Exactly. So I said, put the benches, and we got the people out of their SUVs,
Yes.
sitting on the benches. Now the moms could talk,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We then opened the ice cream store so that moms would go get ice cream.
Yes.
And that helped me, just so you know, tremendously, because now when I'm showing space, it looked like I had some activity. So, you know, when I tell the story a lot. You know, I travel around the country. I teach leasing agents how to lease vacancy. So I talk about the pop-up idea, which is what this is called, a lot. And I always say, look, I'm not doing a pop-up with a vape store, right? You want to do a pop-up with a tenant and a retailer and a business owner that will bring traffic to the center that isn't already coming to the shopping center. So here you had 25 students that transferred from your home to my shopping center. That was 25 people, sometimes twice a week, right? That I didn't have.
Yes.
Then, I don't know if you know this either, so we were in the midst of a global crisis, especially in the real estate world. You might not have opened, you might not realize that you had opened in the middle of a global crisis, but it was pretty dire. And I did a white paper, which is a paper giving a philosophy that you post, and I sent it to, I don't know, 1,000 landlords. And I said, every one of you that has multiple vacancies need to give a space for free to someone that is going to hire people. Because the minute you opened in my space, how many teachers did you hire?
Oh my God, it just kept hiring.
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So, and back then, during the global crisis, the unemployment was skyrocketed. You know, it had skyrocketed. And I said to, hey, landlords, everyone take one vacancy, give it to someone that will hire people, and we can all participate in trying to get this country back on track.
Yes.
Because I thought, here, you know, I had 14 vacancies. What did I have to lose to try to help a friend, help someone who was meaningful in our family's life? But then you go and hire 5 and 6 teachers, which was fabulous. And then, so then you started getting more students, right? So do you remember at the end of the first year how many students you had maybe?
I think we grew to about 50.
Right.
Around there.
And then you were with me, then you, from one space, you went to 2 spaces to 3 spaces, right?
Yes.
And I had to start charging you rent.
Yeah. No, you were like, okay, vacation's over.
Yeah. Vacation's over, and we need to start paying some rent. But I ratcheted up.
Yes.
Right? I didn't say, okay, now it's $60.
No, and you always let me know 6 months in advance every time there was a rent.
coming.
I used to say to her, oh my God, just when I thought, man, I'm doing great, here comes Beth. The rent's going up.
And of course, you knew every time I leased another space, you're thinking, oh, the center's getting healthier. She's going to come knocking. So how long were you at Shops of Arrowhead?
6 years.
And when I invited you out, I had to invite you to find space elsewhere because the rents had gotten to be around 40 a square foot.
Yeah.
And I think you had gotten all the way up to about 25, right? So she had gotten up to 25 triple net, but other tenants were paying 40.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I love you. I love all of the traffic you're bringing, but let me help you go find some space. And you truly were out of space.
Yeah, that was at the point where I had already now filled those 3 units. And then I couldn't take anymore. We were turning clients away, and I said to you, I don't know what to do. And you said, well, unless you can pay this new rental fee, I can't have you take any more space because, I have to raise the rents because of everything that was happening with the plaza. And you did so many amazing renovations to it as well. And so it was really attracting a lot of good businesses and good clients. And at that point, I said to you, okay, and, I guess, I have to do what I have to do. And we started looking, and actually, Beth gives the gifts that just never stop giving. Her love, her advice, and her support are unconditional and unsurpassable. I said to her, I'm having a hard time finding a good space because either there's not enough parking or there's too many limitations with sound or whatever the case may be. And she used her personal time to help me find this space.
So it was very sad. It was very sad for me to lose you, right? But we did find this phenomenal location. So music studios are not a typical tenant in retail spaces.
Right.
Right. Do you know how many music studios are in Broward County today? Do you know?
I don't. There's quite a few now, though.
Maybe like 20?
Yeah, I would say that's a good guess.
Back when we started,
Not
I
many.
remember I used to go over and get the rate sheets for you, right?
Yes.
Like, go check that one out.
Yes. And there weren't that many.
There weren't that many. Well, and I think, and there's certainly not a lot of them in retail shopping centers.
No.
And I do think it's, for many reasons. One, I think that many leasing agents like the traditional pizza, Chinese, Panera, carpet stores, furniture stores. You don't see a lot of music studios. Probably one of the reasons is the parking.
Yes.
We were able to, because we had so much vacancy,
Yes.
the parking in the beginning was
Right.
not a problem.
Right.
But it did become a problem.
It did.
Right? Because
Right.
as we got busier,
You had
with
to park in the back, and
Right.
even then it was still
6 or 7 teachers,
correct.
6 or 7 lessons going on at one time, I wanted them to go run errands and get the heck out of the shopping center, right?
Yes.
What do you think, are there challenges when you're opening a studio? Like, I know that when we were looking for the space here, wasn't there a massage guy nearby that we were talking here at this?
Yes.
Right.
Behind us.
Is he still there?
I'm not sure.
Well, you don't have any complaints about noise?
No.
Because when at Arrowhead, I remember you were next to a Domino's. Who were you next to on the other side? Me! Oh yeah, Josie used to say at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, I'm gonna go home now. She would hear the same.
I think that was one of the only reasons it was able to work.
Because it was us.
Because it was you guys, and
Right.
they loved me enough
And
to
Domino's-
tolerate us.
And Domino's was blaring music.
They had so much noise in their unit, they didn't even hear us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so that would be a challenge. And here, what were some when we were looking for this space? What I don't remember. Refresh
Parking
me.
was the biggest challenge. Finding a space that would allow us the amount of parking spaces that we need, and that would accommodate, for sounds. But because I have this corner unit,
We only have to worry about 2 sides,
two
right?
sides, yeah, exactly. But luckily, because most of our programming begins after 3 p.m., we don't have any problems.
And parking is fine. 'Cause
Parking
pretty
is
much
phenomenal.
Everyone's gone.
Yes, parking is phenomenal.
Now, this is in a flex warehouse environment.
Yeah.
When you first started looking on your own, when I said to you, we're going to have to make a change, I think you were calling on other shopping centers, right? And they were thinking, too much parking,
Yes.
the noise. And I said, well, maybe let's see if we can find a flex space. But big difference.
Very big difference.
So you grew from, when you were at Shops of Arrowhead for 6 years, you started with 25 students. At the last, when you moved out, how many students did you have?
82,
Okay. How many do you have today?
almost 200.
Oh my gosh. And probably it has to do a lot with the space sizes because you were restricted, right?
We had to turn people away.
You had to turn people away.
Yeah.
Now, the one negative is at Shops of Arrowhead, you had, what did your sign say?
Music Academy.
Music Academy, 60,000 cars driving by University Drive.
Right.
Here, There's no walk-ins.
No.
So back then, do you know back then what percentage was referral versus walk-in?
We did get a lot of walk-ins, but I wouldn't say it was more than like maybe 25%. But that was still phenomenal.
What percent walk-ins?
Maybe 5.
5%.
Yeah.
So now today, so how did you go from 82 to 200?
Once we moved into the space, everyone was super excited. The kids,
so beautiful.
The kids loved what we created.
I love Shops of Arrowhead, but this doesn't hold a candle. That didn't hold a candle to this.
Yeah, and I think that excitement helped, the kids, get excited and their parents be excited. And now we have this huge lobby that we can accommodate people at. And everyone just started sharing the news about Rising Stars. And then we did a nice open house and, invited a bunch of people. And it was a lot of fun. And then I started learning about social media. Mm-hmm. I had never really liked social media.
we talked hours about. I was learning.
Yes.
We would talk in the front of your old space, and I was learning, and now we're both way far ahead than we were back then.
I tell you, it was difficult just getting myself to embrace it because, it was not something I was comfortable doing. But once we started, then it really helped people see what we were doing.
So, I think that it's important for entrepreneurs that are out there that might be watching this thinking, well, yeah, I can just go in a flex space. So do you think you would be where you are today if you opened in a flex space versus a retail?
I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in I'm not sure if you know this, but in shopping centers, all shopping centers have two kinds of tenants and two kinds of spaces. They're the same. They're impulse and they're destination. So, for example, in the larger shopping centers where you have those elbow spaces, like there's a Publix and then there's like an elbow, those spaces in those corners are called destination spaces, which you could go, Rising Stars could go in a destination space because you are a destination tenant, right? I'm not going to drive by and say, oh, Music Academy, and pull into another one. Right. I'm going to drive by 20 music academies because my lesson is with Miss Vanessa, right? I'm going to go to your house because you're a destination, right? I'm not going to drive by and go, I think I'll take Alex here for piano lessons, right? And it's the whole membership.
Correct.
What do you call it when they sign up? Like
registration.
Registration and lessons, and they're multi-week,
yes,
multi-month. So even though you were a destination tenant, which at the time with 14 vacancies, I needed as many destination tenants as I could find that would bring me the traffic and bring me the people. Now, I'm fine with opening an ice cream store because an ice cream store is an example of an impulse.
Right.
Like an ice cream store could never make it here where you are.
Right.
There's no visibility, no traffic, right? But they could make it at Shops of Arrowhead. So speak about how, you were in this more impulse-driven location in the beginning and how that helped you build your audience or build your clientele and your students versus I don't think people could open here and be in business 12 years
I think it would
later.
be a lot harder. In addition to that, parents have a lot to do, and it's hard to ask them to sit somewhere and not have
very important.
When I was in the shopping plaza, they were able to go run an errand, go to the store. There were so many stores with everything all around them, so they could get their errands done while dropping their child off and come right back because it was all within a close vicinity or within the plaza itself. Here.
How did that? So how?
Like that.
So how did that work? Did you lose people when you first came here?
I didn't. Very luckily, I have very loyal clients that really come here because they want to be here. We have longevity with our students, and so that was one of the main reasons I felt confident that I could make this work. So we didn't lose anyone, and in fact, they kept referring more students. So we started growing very quickly. The disadvantage for some of the parents who are not, used to us coming here for the first time, they were, I got to do this. And now they have to drive a little further to get to that store to run that errand. But luckily, they feel that we're worth it.
And you are. And you are.
Yes. But definitely would make it harder for someone starting out, I would say, for sure.
What advice would you give? So do you think it's harder to be an entrepreneur as a woman versus a man?
Oh, sure. I definitely think so.
Why is that?
I can tell you when I first opened my business, the amount of looks I used to get from people. Look at this young girl, and she's female. What does she know about business? And that was hard.
That's very sad.
Yes.
And that feeds into insecurities.
Yes.
So you're like gung-ho, ready to go, and then you get this external feedback.
Yes.
And then you start thinking, me too, like when I've gone and wanted to buy shopping centers, right? Or buy properties and have, someone question that, or what do you know? And then you do like, okay, well maybe they're right. They are richer and smarter, or I think they are, but it's not always true, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
They were wrong.
They were.
Right?
They were.
So what a journey you've been on. 11 years.
Yeah, 12 now.
12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alex is 19.
Mm-hmm.
3 things you wish you could tell someone starting out as an entrepreneur, besides finding a really great landlord.
Yes, that you're going to have a hard time finding anything better than this woman. I think the biggest advice I could give is to spend some time thinking about how big you want to grow, because I had no clue how big I wanted to grow or where I wanted to take the business. I was just so happy to have something of my own, to be able to create the type of environment, of learning environment and programming that I thought was so important to the growth of these children that are, artistically inclined. So I didn't prepare for that. And then when the business started growing faster than I could keep up, it was extremely difficult playing catch up and figuring out how to manage. So my advice to someone who's starting is spend some time thinking about how big you would want to grow and start looking at what kinds of applications and programs are available to help you manage. Because I think that was the biggest stress for me, and time consuming.
And in process, look, I hate processes, hate them, not my thing, not my strength. An artiste? Are you kidding? We've had many discussions about that, right? Having someone like I have Josie, thank God. I say you need a Josie, but it's hard in the beginning because you can't afford a Josie,
correct?
Right?
Yeah, you got to do everything yourself.
Absolutely. So, what's been? And now you have 2 children.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
you birthed this.
I did.
You birthed Ava, and you birthed your son,
Jaden. Yes.
Jaden. And how old are they both now?
Ava's 11, Jaden's 10.
So, like a year later.
Yeah, a year and a half apart.
Crazy.
I know.
So you opened the studio and then you got pregnant.
Yeah, I figured, okay, we might as well get it all done with now, because I can't do this and then start all over again and manage everything.
And your husband's very supportive and helpful.
If it wasn't for him, I would not be here today. Yeah.
And I remember the initial days where the recital was in the lobby of the first place I met you.
Yes.
I went to a recital a year ago where you invited Alex to come back and help, which was, and I sat there, for 4 hours or however long the recital was, enjoying I'm like so sad and nostalgic of all of those years and how far you've come to being at Nova Southeastern, and now you just went to New York.
Yes.
And did a cabaret with your kids.
We did a New York Broadway cabaret with Natalie Wise. It was incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's been so great catching up with you.
Always with you.
And I love you. And I'm so proud of you and what you've been able to do, and it's very exciting. And you touch the bottom of my heart with everything that you've accomplished.
Same here.
Love you.
I love you more.